This is my first video log entry for the rebuild of my Lotus 7 low-cost replica that I built during school at Georgia Tech to play with suspensions, suspension design, dynamics, and learn as much as I could about every part of a car as quickly as possible. The car was originally built off a 1984 Celica GTS donor. This included a single cam 22RE motor, W58 transmission, a 6.7 inch ring and pinion non-LSD differential. Combine this with some suspension parts from an old Triumph Spitfire, and modern day seats and some electrical gear. The motor was swapped after a couple years with a 2RZ and bolted up to the same transmission, and was a twin cam truck motor made by Toyota. It was originally bolted up with a turbocharger, KKK K26, with Megasquirt to control it. That turbo manifold that I made didn't last very long, so it got replaced with an NA header, and that car was pretty bitchin'. Drifted it for a while. I moved out to Arizona and pretty much just abused the crap out of the car, as it should be. Bent some rear suspension stuff, and throughout this whole process up to this point, every single thing I did on the car was a learning process, and definitely learned real quick and learned a lot. So after building the car for 4 or 5 years, driving it for a few years, kind of constant maintenance. It's like a race car built by someone that has never built a race car before. Took it apart with the intention of fixing the rear suspension that was a little bit bent, and just improving some of the geometry. Had a lot of compliance tow issues. Just didn't meet all my needs as much as I want. Also learned a lot about suspension design from drifting, working on drift cars at this point. So the rebuild will be a F20C out of a Honda S2000, 9,000 RPM rev limit. I like Toyota motors, and the 3S GTE or GE, the Beams motor, would have been a fine choice, and it would have bolted up with minimal effort to the same transmission. Maybe should have done that, but yeah, I'm happy or excited to own my first Honda powered car, and should blow up tires pretty good. The car is built with a lot of reused old Toyota suspension parts, struts that were cut down to be an upright so you can put AA arms on them in the front, and then semi-trailing arm converted to AA arm in the rear. A lot of stuff is overbuilt, and built this on a pretty tight budget, and original brakes. So pretty heavy for a Lotus 7 compared to what some other people are doing with Miata parts and things like that. But at its peak, had about 200 horsepower to the wheels, and weighed about 1,500 pounds. So I'm hoping to get down at least 200 pounds out of the car. So that should bring it around nice 1,300, which is respectable in the Lotus 7 building community. So we'll also redesign the rear suspension, fix a lot of the problems that I made for myself when I originally designed it, and rebuild it, get it back on the road, and that's when the fun will begin. We're going to start doing some crazy shit. I don't care about this car. I care about learning, and it's only metal. It can be rebuilt. 10-step plan for rebuilding a Lotus 7. Step number 1, we're going to go around the shop and find all the parts that I stored a couple years ago, and then, like a puzzle, figure out where they go on the car. Step 2, we're going to clean everything, chassis, bodywork, all the parts we found. Much easier, much nicer to work with clean parts. Number 3, got to build a new build table. This is a table the engine, transmission, chassis, rear end, everything, actually the whole car sits on. To get it up to eye level makes it a lot easier to work on. Number 4, we're going to mount the Honda S2000 F20C engine and transmission. Number 5, design and build the rear suspension. This is going to use a 240 SX differential axles and hubs, but we're going to make some new uprights that'll allow everything to be used in double air configuration. Number 6, wiring. 7, test it, make sure everything works. Number 8, disassemble, take it all apart. Number 9, I'm going to do paint and cosmetics. So get the chassis powder coated, paint all the bodywork. Number 10, do a final reassembly. And then when we're done, the goal is to do a mountain run. That'll be the first full shakedown of the car. So with that, I'll close with a drift video that I made while driving the car and learning to drift in Atlanta.
Because I can't sleep. I'm gonna talk about a place that I've been to that nobody believes it exists.